The rain hammered down with a kind of furious rage, as if the sky itself was angry at the world below. Sheets of water pelted the asphalt, turning city streets into glistening rivers that reflected the sickly yellow of flickering streetlights. It was the kind of night that chased everyone indoors, that made even the most hardened city dwellers think twice before venturing out. But not Jordan Rivers. Jordan was still out there, gripping the cracked steering wheel of his battered yellow cab, the heater rattling in a losing battle against the damp cold. The night had been brutally slow. Slower than usual even for a Wednesday. Fewer people on the streets meant fewer fares. And for Jordan, every missed fare was a missed meal. Another delay on the rent. Another evening explaining to his kids why the electricity bill still sat unpaid on the kitchen counter. He had 2 growing kids waiting at home, Elijah, 13, and little Liana, 9, depending on him to keep the promises he whispered into their ears at bedtime. That someday, somehow, things would get better. Even with hunger gnawing at his gut and exhaustion weighing down his bones, Jordan never let his spirit fray. Kindness was stitched too deep into his being, woven into him by a mother who believed the measure of a man was what he did when no one else was watching. A gift, a burden, a quiet, stubborn fire he carried, no matter how bitter the nights became. As he rolled down a wide, deserted avenue, windshield wipers thrashing back and forth in frantic rhythm, Jordan caught sight of someone that made him ease off the gas. Under the skeletal glow of a broken street lamp stood a man, soaked through to the skin, clutching a battered piece of paper like it was the last thing anchoring him to this world. His jeans clung to his legs like a second skin, and his jacket hung uselessly heavy with rain. Jordan would never forget that face. Even later, after everything, it would remain sharp in his memory, the way desperation carved deep hollows beneath his eyes, how hope and shame fought bitterly across every feature as he raised a trembling hand, half hoping, half dreading to be seen. Jordan knew most drivers would pass him by. Hell, he had already seen 3 taxis glide past, their tires hissing against the wet pavement, drivers pretending not to see, their windows sealed tight against the cold. But Jordan wasn't most drivers. His foot found the brake. His hand flicked on the turn signal. He pulled to a stop at the curb. The man staggered forward, fumbling with the passenger door, rain dripping from the ends of his hair. "Thank you," he gasped, voice cracking. "Listen, I don't have any money. I have this interview across town. If I don't get there..." His voice cracked again, swallowed by the storm. Jordan didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. He saw the crumpled resume, the cheap, waterlogged suit. He saw a man clinging to dignity by a thread. Jordan jerked his chin toward the seat. "Get in," he said simply. The man hesitated, disbelief etched across his face. "But I can't pay." "I didn't ask for money," Jordan said gruffly. "Get in before you drown out there." The man slid inside, shivering, rain pooling around his sneakers on the torn vinyl seats. Jordan cranked the heater higher, shooting him a glance from the corner of his eye. "What's your name?" he asked. "Caleb," the man said, still clutching the resume to his chest like a lifeline. Jordan nodded and eased the cab back into traffic, tires slicing through puddles. The ride was mostly silent, save for the relentless drumming of rain against the roof. Jordan didn't pry. He didn't ask how Caleb had come to be standing alone in a storm with nothing but hope and a resume. It wasn't his business. What mattered was simple: a man needed help and Jordan had a way to offer it. They pulled up outside a weathered office building 10 minutes later. Caleb fumbled with the door handle, looking back at Jordan with an expression so raw, so full of unspoken gratitude, it made Jordan's chest tighten. "Thank you," Caleb whispered. Jordan gave him a small nod. "Knock 'em dead," he said. Caleb smiled, wiped rain from his face, and disappeared into the building. Jordan watched him for a moment longer before pulling away into the storm, tires hissing against the pavement. By the time he turned the corner, Caleb had already vanished into the night. Jordan thought he would never see him again. The city swallowed people whole. Jordan knew that better than most. In 12 years behind the wheel of his cab, he had seen it all: tired mothers, drunken businessmen, lost souls clinging to coffee cups and frayed dreams. He had learned one thing: in a city this big, it was far too easy for a person to disappear. At 45, Jordan carried his years like weighted stones. His dark skin was weathered by years under a punishing sun, and his hands, broad and calloused, told silent stories of battles fought just to keep afloat. A gold wedding ring once graced his finger, Now it lived tucked away in a drawer at home, nestled beside photographs of a woman whose laughter still echoed in his dreams. 3 years ago, Jordan had lost Sierra, the love of his life, to a sudden illness that left him reeling, trying to stitch his shattered family back together. Every night, he returned to a tiny apartment filled with the scent of laundry soap and the soft hum of cartoons leaking from the kids' room. His heart was full even when his pockets were empty. That stormy night, Jordan had been driving for almost 11 hours. His back ached, his eyes burned, and yet he had stopped. Without thinking. Without hesitation. Because kindness wasn't a luxury for Jordan. It was a necessity. Weeks blurred together after that night. Jordan's cab rumbled through the city's arteries, chasing fares that seemed fewer with each passing day. His transmission groaned, slipping gears. The heater gave out completely. The bills stacked higher on the counter at home. Some nights, Jordan sat alone in the driver's seat after a shift, forehead pressed to the steering wheel, wondering how many more patches he could slap over the sinking ship of his life before it finally slipped beneath the waves. Then came the call. It was early, just after dawn. As Jordan sat slumped in his seat outside a gas station, sipping burnt coffee and counting the hours until he could collapse into bed, the dispatcher crackled through the radio. "Jordan, you copy? Got a request." Jordan blinked, weary. "Request for what?" "Guy asked for you. By name." Jordan frowned. "You sure you got the right Jordan?" The dispatcher chuckled. "Pretty sure. Left an address. Said it's important." Jordan scrawled the address onto a crumpled receipt, still half convinced it was a mistake. Probably a lost wallet or someone mad about a ride. Still, he started the engine, the cab groaning awake, and nosed into the misty morning traffic. The address pulled him downtown, to a part of the city where skyscrapers punched holes through the clouds and sleek black cars gleamed along polished curbs. Jordan parked awkwardly at the edge of a valet line, feeling his old yellow cab stick out like a sore thumb. His shirt clung damply to his back, his stomach twisted with nerves. He was just about to leave when the building's heavy glass doors swung open. And out walked Caleb. But not the Caleb he remembered. Gone were the soaked jeans and desperate eyes. In their place stood a man in a sharp, tailored suit, shoulders back, smile easy and sure. Jordan blinked. "Caleb?" Caleb grinned wide. "Jordan. Man, I've been hoping I'd get to see you again." They shook hands, Jordan's rough and calloused, Caleb's firm and strong. Jordan still couldn't quite process the change. "I don't understand," Jordan said finally. Caleb chuckled. "Neither do I some days." His voice softened. "You got me to that interview. I got the job. And from there, I built a new life." He gestured for Jordan to follow him inside. The lobby was all marble and chandeliers, the kind of place Jordan had only ever glimpsed through taxi windows. They settled into a corner of a coffee lounge, and Caleb leaned in. "I didn't just get the job," Caleb said. "I worked my ass off. Promotions. Opportunities. They made me director of outreach a few weeks ago." He paused, eyes shining with something deeper than pride. "And every day I kept thinking, how do you repay a man who helped you when you had nothing?" Jordan shook his head, already wanting to protest. But Caleb raised a hand, cutting him off. "I don't want to just say thank you," Caleb said. "I want to do something real." He pulled a folder from his briefcase and slid it across the table. Jordan hesitated, then opened it. And stared. It was a job offer. Fleet manager overseeing corporate transportation. Full salary. Full benefits. Health insurance. Paid vacations. A future. Jordan sat frozen, the words blurring before his eyes. "I already talked to HR," Caleb said quietly. "All you have to do is say yes." Jordan swallowed hard, throat thick with emotion. He thought of Elijah struggling on a broken laptop. Of Liana eyeing the soccer cleats she knew he couldn't afford. Of all the nights spent driving past exhaustion, whispering prayers into an uncaring night. And now this. He looked up at Caleb, voice cracking. "Thank you," he said. Caleb smiled, not cocky, not smug, just honest. Two men who had each seen the worst of life and still chose to keep going. They shook hands, firm and sure. The rest unfolded in a rush, papers signed, ID badges issued, a new chapter opening wide before him. Jordan still drove. Sometimes old habits were hard to break, but now it was different. Now his kids sat in the back seat, windows down, laughter filling the car. Now the future wasn't something he feared. It wasn't money that changed everything. It was kindness. Real kindness. The kind that doesn't ask for anything in return. The kind that lives in a single choice to stop when everyone else speeds by. To see someone drowning in the rain and offer a hand. That's all it took. And because of it, Jordan Rivers, a tired cab driver who refused to give up, finally found what he had spent his whole life chasing. Hope. Real, solid, undeniable hope. And it was just the beginning.